Hi, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday and welcome to your reading lesson for today. We are going to start on lesson 16 today. So when we are back in person, we will actually be in book 4. You do not have book 4 with you yet, but you can access all of the materials that you need this week for reading online on Think Central. So if you have any questions on where to access anything, please either ask myself or your homeroom teacher where you can locate those resources if you need them. So this week we are doing lesson 16 and it is all about outer space. Our story is called Let's Go to the Moon, and then we are going to learn in our second story this week all about Mae Jemison, who was a woman astronaut who went to space. And so we're going to just take a look at our new words for the week, our words to know, and then we'll jump into our story. So number 1, our word is think. What do you think space is like? Number 2, say bring. Spaceships can bring astronauts to space. Number 3, say before. Astronauts practice flying before their trip. Number 4, say light. People feel very light floating in space. Number 5, say because. Astronauts like to jump because it is fun. Number 6, say carry. Astronauts carry tools to work with. Number 7, say show. Pictures show us what the moon is like. And number 8, say around. You can see clouds all around the earth. Our target skill for this week is main idea and details. The topic is the one big idea that the whole selection is about. So while we're reading this week, I want you to think, what is Let's Go to the Moon all about? The main idea is the most important idea about the topic. As you read, think about the details or facts that tell you more about the main idea. You can list the main idea and details about the topic on a web. And this is a picture of a web right here. It kind of looks like a spider web. So you put the main idea of the story in the middle, and then you have details coming off of it. So for example, our main idea this week is all about traveling to the moon, okay? And then we're going to learn details about traveling to the moon in the story. Our target strategy this week is question. Ask questions about what you read and look for text evidence to answer. Okay, let's preview the topic. Astronauts. Astronauts travel into space. Before they go, they plan what to bring. They have to bring food to last the whole trip. They also bring tools that help them work in space. They bring cameras to show people back on Earth what space looks like. You will read more about astronauts and Let's Go to the Moon. And today you are going to do your think, pair, share. Would you like to go to the moon and why? Think about it. Complete the sentence. I would like to go to the moon because, and then you're going to share your answer on Seesaw today after we are finished. So here is our story for the week. Our author is Stephen R. Swinburne. He has never been to the moon, but he loves to travel and explore new places here on Earth. His trips have brought him close to bears, bobcats, and wolves. He has written many books about the things he has seen. This week, again, our story is informational text. Just like last week, animal groups was also informational. So last week, our story gave us information about animal groups. And this week, can you guess? Our story is going to give us information about traveling to the moon, okay? So let's get started. Let's go to the moon. Blast off. So this is before they get to the moon. This is what happens on Earth. Would you like to fly to the moon? Let's go. Can you count down with me? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! So the author's purpose, let's take a look at this box up here. The author's purpose, remember, why did the author write this? So why do you think the author writes as if you are really blasting off to the moon? Well, I would say it grabs our attention, right? Normally, we don't have stories that engage us and allow us to actually do it with them. So I think the author did that to help us relate to what it might feel like, okay? Helps us get excited and it helps us be engaged in the text. The flight. So if you'll notice in the story, we have blast off. So these 2 pages are all about blast off. These are our titles. Then this title says the flight. So what do you think we're going to learn about on these 2 pages? We're going to learn about the flight. So later in the week when you take a quiz on this, boys and girls, and they ask you a question, you are allowed to use your story during your quiz, and the titles can help you locate the information easier. If you're looking, you can think, am I trying to find something that is about blast off, the flight, being on the moon? What am I trying to find? So it can take 4 days to get to the moon. A rocket helps us blast into space. We ride in the spaceship at the top of the rocket. So the entire rocket does not go into space, just a very small part of the spaceship does. The surface of the moon is dusty and has many craters. This is a real photo of the moon. There are no plants or animals on the moon. There is no water or air. So that is why we can't have any living things on the moon, because there's no water or air. The moon has rocks, dust, and craters. A crater is a big hole. Spacesuits. This is astronaut Ronald Evans wearing his spacesuit. It's time to put on our spacesuits. Spacesuits help keep our skin safe from the very hot sun and the very cold shade. So during the day, it gets very, very hot when you're in the sunlight, and it gets very, very cold because the moon does not have an atmosphere to protect us from those crazy temperatures. The spacesuits have air in them so we can breathe. Now we are dressed for our walk on the moon. So unless they have their oxygen, they wouldn't be able to live on the moon at all. They wouldn't be able to survive. Moon walk. Walking on the moon is fun. We can take big, light steps. We are very light because the moon has less gravity than Earth. So however much you weigh here on Earth, you actually would feel like you weigh less on the moon because the moon has less gravity. So there's not as much of a pull pulling you back down to the ground. You know how when you jump up off the ground and you come right back down? Well, if you jumped up on the moon, you would go up and you would come down pretty slow, a lot slower, because there's not as much gravity pulling you back down. So it says main idea and details. What is the main idea of the section called Moonwalk? So what is the main idea of this, just this part of the story, not the whole story? What is the main idea of just this part? Well, the main idea would be moonwalk. That's what it's all about. And then our details would be the moon has less gravity and you can take light steps, okay? All right, let's move on to the next section. We carry space tools with us and we have jobs to do here. Moon rocks. We find rocks and bits of dust to bring back home. We will show the rocks to people back on Earth. So they are there as scientists, just like scientists on Earth collect evidence or collect different pieces of rocks or whatever else they're searching for to study it in a science lab. On the moon, they find rocks and pieces of dust and anything else they can collect, and they bring it back to Earth so that we can study it here. Lunar rover. We drive around in our lunar rover. It's even more fun than walking in our fat spacesuits. Look at all the dust in the lunar rover kicks up. So this looks like a big old, kind of like a go-kart mixed with like a little mini car. And they can drive it around on the moon to get to places quicker. and to study different places because it probably would take them a long time to walk different places because there's less gravity. Taking pictures. We take pictures of our footprints. We take a picture of our spaceship too. So you can see how large this spaceship is in comparison. Here's an American flag, and I'm pretty sure that's a pretty good size flag. It would probably be at least as tall as Mrs. O'Hara. I don't know if it's a full-size flag, but it's pretty big. So you can see how much bigger the spaceship is than that flag. Okay, here's the flag. So the flag is taller, a little bit taller than this astronaut. And you can, if you go back, that's how much, if the astronaut was standing right here, the spaceship is that much taller. So it's a very large spaceship. It says, let's take one last look before we go. We see rocks and dust. So not really very much pretty stuff to look at on the moon. It's not really full of plants or animals or even water. It's just a lot of rocks and dust. Let's go home. It's time to go back home. What is it like to be on the moon? It's strange and fun at the same time. I think it would be strange because we only know what it's like to live here on Earth, and we're used to having an atmosphere and water and air and plants and animals. Sorry about that, boys and girls. Okay, when you look up and see the moon, what do you think? Our moon is beautiful. And I do love to look at the moon with the stars at night. It's very beautiful. I agree. Okay. So this week we're going to be looking at author's purpose and main idea and details. But today you're just going to do your think and share. And then you're also going to do a words to know page on Seesaw as well. Have a great day, boys and girls.